Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Manny here.
John.
So it's been a while, guys, but I just had to come back. I'm back. Like, I was in hibernation. That's where this beard came from. I woke up and I'm so warm. We're gonna watch Castlevania, the Netflix series.
Yeah. This is definitely a video we had to do together.
It had to happen.
It had to happen, yeah, because Castlevania is something that obviously is very near and dear to both of us. It's something that we grew up with. I spent a lot of time watching him played a little bit of it myself growing up too, but there was many nights when we were kids that I'd stay over at your house and we'd stay up all night playing this game.
It was more of the I'll avenge you, bro.
Yeah.
Because I'm fighting friggin' Frankenstein. He's like, I'll get him.
Yeah.
Oh, here you go.
Yeah, can't do it. No, but so it's something that's very near and dear both the Castlevania games, but specifically more 3, and that's why this is interesting. Leading up to finding, I knew that they were going to do this series on Netflix. I had heard about it a while ago, but I did my best to stay away from anything regarding it.
I'm just very glad they went the anime route.
Yeah.
There was that's
a safe route. It's
a safer route, but here's the thing. Okay, so Machinima did, for those of you who haven't seen it yet, they did their own rendition of Castlevania, which for live action and for what it is, it's okay. It's quite boring at the beginning, and I'm going to be very sincere with you guys. Maybe there's a portion of the fandom that will agree or disagree. I'm sorry, I really don't care. I don't like the canonical storyline of making Simon Dracula's illegitimate son, or son, whatever. I think it's stupid. And the reason why I think it's stupid, I know somebody may sit there and be, well, think about it. How can a human have enough power? I don't care. This is fiction we're talking about. It doesn't really matter.
Suspending the disbelief.
And if you really think about it, so we have 2 Alucards in the series now when we go ahead and we include Simon into Dracula's bloodline. So it's not enough that Dracula's son hates him and wants to kill him. Now we have to have an illegitimate... Do you see where it's kind of... No.
It makes no sense. Yeah.
To me, I'm hoping they stick with the traditional route and that Simon is from a holy order.
Well, in this one, yeah, exactly. And that's what I love, too, about the original Castlevania games, is that the whole divine quest of defeating Dracula, back to hell with you,
and the fact that Alucard's mother was a deeply devout woman.
Yeah.
It just brings that paradigm. Yeah. So it's already enough with Alucard. Pigeonholing Simon into that same place is kind of stupid. Yeah. So I really hope they stay away from it. So far, we've only seen the trailer.
Yeah, we've only seen the trailer.
This is our before reaction. There's 2 trailers with 2 different pictures, but they're the same trailer. I don't really...
Well, maybe we just didn't do a good enough job of finding the one. But either way, whatever. Seeing this, obviously, is we find out that this series is starting off with Trevor and not Simon, which is okay with me.
Which is okay by me.
So far, obviously...
Take your choice. Is it going to be Jean-Luc Picard, or is it going to be...
Captain Kirk?
It's all right. But the idea of starting it with Trevor's good. Although I believe in Lament of Innocence, it was Leon that started the whole thing, and he was the first Belmont or whatever.
Yeah, to take on Dracula.
Yeah, the fandom is going to be more in line with it's either got to be Trevor or Simon to start the whole ordeal. And I'm actually really glad they went with Trevor.
Yeah, well, he technically, he predates him and all that, even though Simon appeared first, and that would have been fine. So either choice is fine.
Good. It's a good choice.
Either choice is fine. If they would have started off with Simon and decided to go back and tell the story of Trevor, I think that would have been fine too. But I think if this is something that they're planning on having it be an ongoing thing, then I guess you kind of have to start with Trevor, because obviously it takes place in the 1800s.
And is it just me, or is the anime...
Or earlier?
Well, no. Trevor predates Simon by a good bit.
Yeah, I think Simon's in the 1800s, right? I can't remember.
I can't remember
the time.
Look, Simon fought the Turks.
I'm sure somebody. The
Young Turks. He fought them. And
somebody will correct us in the comments section below.
Yeah, please.
Or tell us the dates.
But what was I gonna say here? It's a good choice to start with Trevor. Now, the interesting thing is how they're gonna go ahead and weave all of the additional characters that were in Castlevania 3, aka Castlevania 1, I guess. Yeah. Because for those of you that played, you meet Alucard.
Yeah.
You meet Belnades, I forget her first name, and you meet the pirate Grant.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what's interesting is that all of this takes place, and within, oh my gosh, what's before Symphony of the Night? Castlevania X?
Rondo of Blood.
Rondo of Blood. Who was in that one?
That was Richter.
Richter. He's good with names. I'm bad with names. Guys, just get used to it. Richter, within Richter's own generation, Trevor's still around. Okay. Because you do meet up with Grant within Symphony of the Night.
Okay, so yeah, so still around this. Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, that's for all you time geeks out there. Don't worry, I'm kind of a time geek myself. But anyways, moving back on that, trailer doesn't really give away much. I think the guys, which is good. I think, is it just me or does the animation style remind you of Attack on Titan?
Maybe vaguely, but not too much. I think it's a little bit different.
It looks like the same studio.
I think what it is.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
It has the same kind of, I guess.
It's not Bones. It's not Studio Bones. So I'm just wondering.
It has the same kind of like that bright orangey kind of look to it, that glow.
Yeah, and those hard lines.
Same kind of glow to it that Attack on Titan had. Because Attack on Titan doesn't, even though it's a gritty anime, it doesn't have that real gritty like filter.
Yeah, like everything is gray. Oh, blood.
Yeah, it seems to have like this almost kind of orangey glow most of the time. It seems like this has.
It's very bright and very hopeful, and then everyone dies.
Yeah, then everybody dies. There you go. But yeah, I mean, it looks good so far. So what we're gonna do is we have
expectations are high.
Yeah,
this is bad. Expectations are high.
So hopefully we won't be too disappointed. But we're gonna actually watch all 4 of the episodes and then give our thoughts about it afterwards. So just hang tight, and once we're done, we will go ahead and I guess give kind of a review on our thoughts on this new Castlevania series.
Yeah.
For those of you that are interested.
Now remember, these are going to be initial thoughts, so bear with them. They're initial thoughts, so
initial impressions, which can change. They can change. They better
change.
That
whole stick in the NES. Don't blow in the NES cartridge. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. That messes up the contacts. Yeah. By the way, Netflix on a cartridge? Really?
Yeah.
Really?
So dumb.
Kevin Spacey in 8-bit is pretty cool. Everything else was whack.
Yeah, everything else was dumb. Yeah. But this is, again, first impression kind of review, so stick around. We're going to watch some Castlevania and then tell you what we think.
Be there.
All right. Okay, so we just finished watching the first 4 episodes of the Castlevania series, and it's pretty alright.
I like it. Now, mind you, I usually like to let things simmer. Like, I like to give it a couple days or whatever, so this is kind of impromptu. I may be really excited about certain things that I'm going to mention right now that maybe in hindsight I'll be like, But first things first, let's get all the nerdy stuff out of the way. All the nerdy stuff first, and then, at least for me, and then we'll go on to our thoughts.
Yeah, get to it.
4 episodes, 25 minutes each. They did not feel short. They did not feel rushed.
They definitely didn't feel short.
The art style was excellent. The trailers do it absolutely no justice. None at all. What you're seeing in the trailer is hot garbage. Don't even bother with that. Just watch the series.
Yeah.
It just like we were meant.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
Tell you what to expect at all. I mean, just there's really nothing that it can give you.
Yeah.
There's no point.
The colors and the overtones are very much reflective of the mood of the scenes.
Yes.
So kudos to whoever the art director is. Good job. Animation is pretty nice. There's some choppiness here and there, but I think what they were going for, it's very weird, and maybe somebody will have production notes or might know a little bit more than we do about this, but there was a very graphic novel feel to it. That might be because Warren Ellis is tied into this.
Yeah.
And the grittiness was there, but it's just like John mentioned before, like Attack on Titan. It has a very warm glow to it.
Yes.
They decided not to use that Sin City filter and make it feel just like gravelly and gritty for no reason.
Yeah, like that grayish look to it. It didn't really have that. Yeah. I mean, it had points where it was dark.
You can't see anything. It's gritty.
But
we didn't clean anything.
It didn't have that gray tone to it that a lot of some of these shows do. The TV shows and certain anime shows will do. It didn't have that, so that's something I appreciated about it. It seemed a little bit more, I guess, expressive.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say it's pretty expressive. In some instances, the whole color palette and the scene, they kind of clash with each other, but it's kind of to climax things, to make things a little bit more dynamic.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but I do want to give a huge disclaimer. This is not a show for kids.
Oh, definitely not.
Period.
No,
this is for whoever
not.
played the game and is
Yes.
our age. Yes,
it's definitely an adult or 18
yes.
plus
Yes.
anime. A lot of violence.
A lot of violence. I'm gonna say that because Warren Ellis is tied into it, there's some positives and some negatives to it. People didn't talk like that in that time.
Yeah.
They didn't. There were no F-bombs or fantastical adverbery of the F-bombs or adjectives with F-bombs. So, though it does lend itself to a comedic value, it's what's the proper word I'm looking for here? It's kind of trite in my opinion. It's kind of like, here we go. I understand it's based on a video game. It's not like the video game itself was based on anything historical. And in fact, for all you Castlevania geeks out there, by the way, I'm among your ranks, so if you get offended by that,
it's not an insult.
It's not an insult because I consider myself one, so whatever.
Yeah.
Well, we don't need labels. I don't care. I just put one on myself. So, anyways, here's the point. The original Castlevanias were actually kind of Konami's own little silly spoof on classic horror
movies.
Yeah. When you beat the first Castlevania, they have silly names for all the directors, like Boris not
Karloff. It was like Boris, but it was something
Snorloff.
similar. Snorloff.
Something stupid.
Something silly.
Silly, hokey names.
They took all the names, and made them something silly.
And if anybody, maybe we can put this, edit this into the video. Remember that the beginning of Castlevania 3 is a film reel.
Yep.
You know, all that stuff. Because so originally the Castlevania series was inspired by film.
Yeah.
Classic horror monsters. Here you are, this dude. Fight. Really? Come on. Medusa, a Cyclops, Frankenstein's monster, Hunchbacks. Yep. Come on, bro.
Yep.
Really?
All in there.
So what they did within this series was they kind of brought it all together and made it pretty cool. But again, the dialogue in some instances is silly.
Yeah.
It is quite silly. Especially there's one scene where this guy's talking about another guy having sex with a goat.
Yeah.
It gets silly.
Yeah, it gets
it's pretty silly. But I'm not gonna knock the art quality and the art style and the whole. There's certain scenes that run together kind of like a graphic novel, like it's a moving comic. Like this fantastic background piece and little stills. It's awesome. Yeah. I like it. Go on.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
They did. I mean, you're hitting the nail on the head with everything. I think they did a great job.
Yeah. Very gory.
Yes, very gory. A lot of it, like I was saying before, a lot of exposition in it, but necessary. And honestly, from watching the very first episode, I mean, and just from how it started and the tone of it, you could tell that the way it was starting off and the way that they were pretty much building up everything. That this is not going to end in 4 episodes. Not that I really thought they would either. I kind of was just like, 4 episodes only. I mean, there's no way they could tell us that. They could maybe possibly, but it would be very.
I personally thought when it came out, when I was looking at the fan boards and all that other kind of stuff, I'm like, awesome, it's Netflix. They're going to do 12 or 13 episodes.
Yeah.
And then it was like, no, 4. I'm like,
yeah,
come on,
but then,
man.
No, but, yeah, exactly. And for a moment, I mean,
I want more. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm complaining because I want more. Do you understand me?
And the thing is, well, and that's the thing. Once you watch it, though, you feel okay. This is just the first half. They'll probably make 8 episodes. Maybe they'll make 12. Maybe even more. Who knows? But this is just the very first 4 episodes of the series. They're obviously not planning on just ending with just these 4, but they ended the 4th episode on a very high note. I think.
Yes.
Because it starts off again. You know, we talked about this before. It starts off.
It's very plotting.
We started recording here. Yeah, it's very plotting at first because again, they're building up the characters, him meeting. And without getting into too many spoilers,
we don't want to spoil anything. For all of you fans out there of Castlevania 3, they stayed pretty close to the source material.
Yeah.
How characters meet and interact is pretty interesting. There's one character that we're not going to be seeing in those first 4 episodes. I don't know if that character is going to come out later on. All I can say is this: if they don't include that character, it doesn't really matter. No big deal. No big deal. The characters that needed to be there are there.
Yeah, the ones that are most pertinent to the story are there. And they did a good job of introducing them in this series, and that is so far. And again, without getting into too many spoilers, because you're going to see this anyways, and we're not going to say exactly how it all happens. Is Sypha and Alucard,
and that's to be expected. You'll see that kind of in the first episode,
exactly.
But
and in the and when they introduced the series, the little makeshift intro they have. Well, not makeshift, the little intro they have for it shows.
I'll say makeshift for certain instances here, but I'm not hating.
No, nobody's hating.
I'm glad, and I kind of want to get into things in a little bit of a different perspective here. I am very shocked that there is a Castlevania anime of any sort.
But it feels
with an okay from Konami. We're going to start with that.
Well, yeah. The thing is, too, is that it feels like it's been a long time coming, because you feel this is something that should have already been made in an official capacity by Konami a long time ago. And, and I don't think it disappointed. It might have plotted in the beginning a little bit, and it felt a little bit dry at first. It felt a little bit, I was bored, but the thing was, I understood why everything needed to be like that. I mean, and it did get gradually better to the point where it was definitely worth the time watching.
Story-wise, I can definitely tell you right now that it's not. I think a lot of the Castlevania fans, or you'll like it. There's a lot of fidelity within the anime, and it's just 4 episodes, and that's crazy for me to say. There's a lot of fidelity just within 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Please,
so it's something you will appreciate.
Please stick with it. The first couple minutes of the first episode, you're going to be like, what is going on here? And then you understand. It makes sense. By the 3rd and 4th episode, please stick with Trevor. Give Trevor a chance.
Yes,
give him a chance, because at first,
even if you're Team Simon, give Trevor a chance.
Give Trevor a chance, because you will like him. Give it a chance. Seriously. Again, just go ahead and share the comments below. But I do want to go ahead and take the opportunity to kind of mention something here. At least this is my take on it, and I spoke about it with John briefly. As you all know, the great Konami crash, as I like to refer to it, about 2-3 years ago, where Konami just took a giant nosedive. They axed Hideo Kojima. Listen, I don't know if Hideo Kojima...
that's when things started going down.
It was bad. Literally was going to where where Dracula summoned his armies. From the pits of hell! They basically just abandoned AAA titles, abandoned me personally, because I'm going to tell you something. I am a big I'm a big Castlevania fan. I'm a pretty big Metal Gear fan. I gotta admit, there's a lot of other properties out there that Konami holds on to.
Silent Hill.
Oh my gosh, Silent Hill! I have.
Forget Silent Hill.
Yeah, I don't, because I'm thinking about getting to this point. And speaking of Silent Hill, so the PT trailer gets pulled off the internet. One of the most downloaded demos of any game. Norman Reedus is in it. Hideo Kojima is in it, and it's kind of like, I don't know. I think Hideo Kojima must have done something. He must have been like a total diva, or he might have, I don't know. He might have smacked somebody's. The president's kid in Konami. He might have done something, but here's what you do. So you release Phantom Pain. This game makes millions upon millions of dollars. You guys take the guys from Castlevania like Koji Igarashi, and you make them start making mobile games, and you tell them this is what you're going to do right now. Koji goes, I don't want to do this anymore, and he leaves. Get a lot of talent that leaves. You leave us all in the dark, and then you start coming back. Now, I'm not saying that this is Konami's,
Well, this is definitely not. We can't say this.
We can't say that. We can't say that this is a comeback.
Series,
Yeah, exactly.
This is probably a step in the right direction.
This is a step in the right direction, and if this comes out on Blu-ray, excuse me, I will buy it. I will buy this. I want this.
To support Konami.
I want
to support.
To support. Honestly speaking, at this point, as silly as it sounds, to support Castlevania, because I want a new Castlevania, guys. Stop fooling around. Look, I know this is sounding like... Stop fooling around, guys. Stop it. Just stop it. Make the game. There's a huge fandom here. You just made an animated series. This will go nuts.
Yeah.
Treat us with love, and we will treat you with love right back.
Well, that's one of the positives, I think, also about this series, now that you mentioned that, is that this definitely could breathe new life back into Castlevania. Obviously, there was a lot of excitement about this series coming out. I mean, when I heard about it, I was cool.
I grew a beard for this.
Yes, it was just cool to know that they were doing something like this, and here it is. And so far, so good.
It's kind of like that text message, from a loved one. Hey, man, what's going on, Billy? Billy?
Are you back, Billy?
I'm here. I'm here. We made a new Castlevania series. No, you didn't. Oh, you did.
No, but it's interesting, exactly, because the last thing we got Castlevania was Lords of Shadow 2 and Helmet, and that's already been a couple years since that came out, right?
It was a couple years. Yeah. You know what? And I'm going to talk about it. I like the series. Lords of Shadow 2 left a lot to be desired. I really hope that one day they'll see fit to maybe remastering it. But Hideo Kojima's interpretation of the Castlevania series was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. I won't hate on it. I'm glad, however, and again, without spoiling anything, that this is not Hideo Kojima's vision of Castlevania. So kudos to them for bringing on Warren Ellis, who can be hit or miss sometimes.
Yeah.
Like I said, spot on with the visuals, spot on with the story. Dialogue, come on, bro. This isn't Metro. Stop it. Write a story that fits the times, but thank you. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Keep it coming.
So, I mean, yeah, I guess in closing then, would we recommend this series? Would we recommend Castlevania? Yes, absolutely. Definitely if, if it's something that is near and dear to you, you grew up with, I don't think you'll be disappointed. I don't see anything in it. And again, his knowledge is much more extensive on Castlevania than mine. But for the little that I know, nothing in it felt like a betrayal of. Nothing
really felt forced.
No.
I mean, other than dialogue, and nothing was
exactly. Just certain dialogue but
so again,
plotted. But that's about it.
We definitely recommend it for anyone. This is gonna get an R rating.
Yes.
I would say hard R rating because of the gore. Like, dude, they don't play around, which is pretty awesome.
They don't hold back.
Just not recommended for kids.
It definitely. Well, I mean, maybe a little bit lighter, because I have seen some animes that are much more violent. But again, this is something that, I guess this is something that you would expect of Castlevania, but it seems to fit with it now in the direction that the last Castlevania games are going in anyways, which was that mature rating anyways. So to see it be this way wasn't all that surprising. Maybe just a little bit, but not all that much.
I'm sorry. I was shocked with some of the scenes. There's a couple scenes in there, especially in the 4th episode. There was a very shocking scene that you know what? I'll just go there. I was really expecting Warren because of his previous works. I've read a lot of his works and stuff like that, to very much go through a purging throughout these 4 episodes. Basically, just religion bashing left and right. It's actually a very interesting point of view, and there are some scenes within this, again, especially in episode 4 at the beginning, where it's kind of like, wow, that's very insightful. There's some key notes that are hit, and again, we go back to the whole historical points, the misunderstanding of science, the misunderstanding of, spirituality back in that time, the church's grip hold on, just human endeavor, period.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I hit so much on the whole dialogue thing. That's why I'm like, really, if you're going to go for that, try at least to be a little bit more faithful to it. But I don't want to get too much in depth. As far as I go on initial reaction, I'm going to feel safe giving this series a solid 8. I'm going to give it an 8. Okay. I'm going to give it an 8 because, and I'm going to reserve that. That's not a steady 8. That could change by the time I see the full first season. Once I get a taste for the whole first season, you'll get a real solid rating for it. But 4 episodes, so far I'm giving the series an 8. And for those of you who do or don't know my tastes, I'm real mean when it comes to the stuff I watch, because very harsh because I just spent an hour of my life watching this, and it better be worth it. And especially with Castlevania, I really love Castlevania. So if it sucked, this review would be much longer. So an 8's not bad off of 4 episodes. I'm pretty demanding. I'm looking at a lot of different things all at once. There's a lot going on that I can't really describe. So maybe later on, once we get a couple more episodes, we can discuss these 4 episodes.
Yeah, I think we'll be able to give more of an overview of the series once the rest is. But so far so good. Definitely worth the time to watch. Again, it feels pretty faithful to its source material thus far, and it even feels. I like how they're fleshing things out as well, and how interesting they're making. Trevor and adding to adding in their own adding lore essentially to the story of Castlevania 3.
It's kind of like they did with Trevor, kind of like what Robert Downey Jr. did with Tony Stark. and made him a much more in-depth character, you know, instead of this rich billionaire.
Well, put a
playboy.
different spin. A new
Yeah, he
spin,
did. He did a new spin on it.
On what the character was, or showed a side of the character, you know, created a side for the character that nobody really knew existed, I guess. Added something that actually had an influence on the character from there on out, which I think that's what this series is doing for Trevor Belmont, for sure.
And it can.
I think it will. It will have a lasting impact on people's perception of Trevor Belmont.
Absolutely.
So definitely check it out. Definitely worth the time. Again, it starts off a little bit slow. Gonna be honest there. It plods a little bit, but then it starts to pick up and gets a little bit more interesting. And there is action in it. And again, lots of violence. So, you know, not for kids, but yeah, definitely recommend it. So be sure to check it out. And once more episodes come out, we'll give our thoughts on those two.
Absolutely.
So
with pleasure.
Absolutely with pleasure. So until next time, guys, you know how it goes. Tell us what you all think of the series in the comment section below. Let's have a discussion about it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, I'm down for that.
Let's talk. Until next time, it continues.
Be there.